I don't know. There's not much I can do on my end other than to live stream in the middle of the night for the glitches, but just to miss you guys and miss where everybody can kind of come and say howdy. So we're just trying it. Journey, lovely to see you. How are you? I have not I have not swung through your chat room in ages, but I know you're probably still working away on those maps. But hi, hello. I think we'll go with it's nice and bright, right? I'm trying to get a live stream going, and it's because of the time. It's 7 in the morning here on the West Coast, and yeah, I'm gonna persist this morning, Dan. We'll see if we can get it going. Um, all my old neighbors wake up, and I live in a 55 plus community, and they wake up and they have to, I don't know what they do, to check their news or do something, and it burdens the system, but we'll try a few more minutes. So I was saying on the other live stream that I've been sorting stuff out in the studio, and I am literally, you probably see all the junk here, but I am just up to my armpits in beads. So many, so many beads. We've got freshwater pearls. We've got yellow, no, I think these are some kind of opals. We've got chalcedony and amethyst, and so I've just got tons of stuff going. Oh, they might be. Maya says maybe they are live streaming. Yeah. Old Folks TV. Yeah, so I've just, I've got 1,001 ideas bouncing in my head. And I did find my tools. I did find my findings, which are like clasp and little metal parts that go on necklaces. So I will knock out a few of those. Because this is all, yeah, I'm trying to get the sewing machine going, so I do need to stop and make 10 necklaces. Just there's a lot of, you never know what's literally dancing through the studio. I did stop and make Christmas tree ornaments because I had a package of these frames that you put beads onto. So they've been probably 15 years in the back of the bead cupboard. And I was like, well, how hard can that be? And like 2 days to make 7 of these dumb things. So I finished one package of the ornaments. That's good enough. I literally have enough ornaments to cover 3 Christmas trees. So I put the other 8 packages into the donation box. So somebody at the local Humane Society thrift store will find these frames and enjoy them, have a lot of fun with them. Miriam, hello. It's because I haven't done one probably, gosh, it might be, I know, more than 2 months. I think I snuck maybe one in there in the last 1 or 2 in the last 3 months. Just needed to take a break and kind of detoxify from some of the stuff that was going on. And I also was trying to get my studio turned over from painting to the sewing studio. But then I got sidetracked with, oh, shiny things. Just me? And, oh, before I lose the connection again, I'll show, we got a couple of new people in. Look what I've been doing with some of the paintings that we made in the last year. I laminated them into bookmarks. Isn't that fun? And then started looking through my bead stuff to find things to add to the tassels. So, Irish Mart, hello. I am the squirrel, Dan. I I am the squirrel. You saw. Yeah, so kitted the laminator, and I even had laminating pouches, and now we have laminated original Janelle Art bookmarks. So yeah, if you want one of those, drop me an email and give me your address, and I'll try to get to the post office. Thank you, Miriam. Yeah, I wasn't feeling it, and I, as a person with autism, am learning to kind of listen to those internal. I don't know if it's a voice or if it's a sort of being aware of how I'm feeling, and to try to. Oh, I don't want to use like hippy dippy. I want to honor my inner feelings kind of language, but I think that's what it gets down to is like as an artist, we do have to cultivate ourselves and we do have to care for ourselves. We'll do that quote unquote self care stuff. And I just felt like I wanted to sort of scroll through all of the supplies. I just, since I moved here, it's just kind of chaos of stuff. You know, here's a bag of this here and a bag of the same stuff over there, and I have everything, but I can't find anything. So I got all of the sewing thread in one place. I got all of the ribbons and trims finally sorted out from their various stashes and put into a big jar, and may or may not have sorted all of my buttons and realized I didn't know this. Maya, well, yeah, Maya, tell him I'm a button collector. I didn't know I collected buttons, but hey, Style Audit. Good morning. Yeah, so it's a bit of a quote unquote journey of self discovery in Janelle's studio. But once I see all the buttons, and one of the things I know I did deliberately collect were mother of pearl buttons. It's just something about them that I find very beautiful, and they're pleasing. They're kind of cool, and they're heavy, and they're, you know, round, which sounds goofy, but I'm sure it's like some of my autistic special interests. I find round shapes very appealing. And over the years, I've kind of saved up any mother of pearl button. Also, it's kind of I think it's something that's dying out, the production of these buttons. And now that I've got them all in the same place and I can see what a quantity I have, I've just got all kinds of ideas for art projects that I can make using them. Thanks, Maya. Yeah. So, not sure how I could quite translate those to a live stream topic, but um, it's just a lifetime of collecting all of these appealing bits and bobs. And now, one of the pleasures of kind of being at this stage of my life, I have time on my hands, and I've got studio space where I can turn these things into theoretically turn them into some finished artworks. And if I can remember to turn the phone on before I get started on it, you know, I might be able to take you guys along for the the randomness that is a tour through the supplies. Um, let's shout out moderator Maya here today because she's kept me company on um, a lot of these kind of excavations that have been going on in the last 3 months in my studio, and she's just been very supportive and has has just given me a lot of feedback. I think that yeah, that is cool. Yeah, those are shiny and they're fun and yeah, that's interesting. Because I think as we're out in our studios or doing our thing, it could be a little bit of an isolating experience, or I I could feel a bit isolated and think, oh, I don't know if anybody else finds this interesting or inspiring. But then you talk to some other artists and you start bouncing ideas back and forth, and you get some support from other people, or you hear about what they're working on, and it does fire art. It fires us to produce it, and it makes an environment where more art is created. And I like a world with, I think, more art and less fighting, less tearing shit down, more building stuff up. So that's what I like to see. Building, less destroying, more building. Yeah, Maya says that's the problem with sorting through all the stuff, all the ideas that get you sidetracked. Unless you just embrace that as your creative process, and I think I'm probably 40% embrace the project that comes along and not tell myself I'm bad or wrong or doing something, because anytime you go into the studio, for me, like I just give myself permission. Whatever I want to make that day, it's a good day. It's a good thing. Making is good. And Dan from Elegant Woodcraft says talking with other crafters and artistic people has to be one of my favorite things about streams. I'm with you there. Me too. And it doesn't particularly matter if they're creating something that I make. Like in some ways, uh, I'm as inspired. I don't make fishing lures, but I get really inspired watching Turner go. Uh, he just goes to town making fishing lures, and uh, I'm inspired by painters. I like painting myself. I think anytime humans are making stuff, that to me that's interesting. Yeah, Dan says woodchuckers. Woodchuckers wandered into Dan's chat. I want to say last week or so, and said, "Hey, what's going on?" We said, uh, "We're awesome and we make cool things, and you'll like us, so you should stay." It was basically my summary of what went down there. And was that it? Did that sum it up? There's something really energizing about finding people that are uh, being artistic. So we do have a lot of choices in what we watch, and I mean certainly scroll through live streams and I'll see a lot of people just kind of sitting and staring at the camera or talking about things in the world they don't like without offering any constructive criticisms about how to move us forward. And I mean, you know, everybody does that. You do you, but I have a limited capacity to take in that kind of content. Oh, Woodchucker, thank you so much for spending a little time with us. It was lovely to have you in here, and thank you. I'm glad you got a chance to see it, because, you know, you usually just see me being a wise ass in chat, so. I've been kind of hiding my light under a bushel for a spell of time here. Yeah, exactly. I have wise assery skills that span the gamut from on camera to in chat to out in the wild woolly real world. This is very odd. It's late June. What are we, June 20th today? And it sounds like it might be raining outside, which is wild to me. I'm in Western Oregon, and usually by the end of June, we are wearing tank tops and shorts and cursing the heat, so. Um, I find that a little discombobulating. But not unwelcome, man. The more rain we get in spring, um, it slows down the start of fire season in one way, but it feeds the grass, and we get a lot of undergrowth. Uh, Underbrush just proliferates, and sometimes it can kind of backfire. And then there's a lot of fuel for fire. What did I see here? TOA is a fraud. Well, there's a name I haven't seen in a month of Sundays. What's going on? Yeah, Rudik says, one of the reasons I do not put my face on camera if my hands are visible, I'm busy. If they're not, I am talking. And you if if you're talking, your hands aren't busy, and you're there to make stuff, not show off your pretty face. So, although Dan points out we do get a view of the back of Runik's head from time to time. Hey, I've seen both. I'm okay with both, Runik. I'm here for the goofing off, here for the working. Oh yeah, no, it's definitely, I can hear it on the roof. It is definitely raining. Uh, yeah, I have not been live in about 3 months. I was just taking I was resetting the studio, and I was also just kind of getting dragged back into the um, protest drama, and I, yeah, I'll try to not go too deeply in this, but I think, you know, you can't live in America and not be aware of what's going on with ICE and what's going on with No Kings and some of these other things. And they do impact. They impact me, and I got feels, so didn't really want to. I didn't really want to, get up and just do a kind of a trauma dump bunch of streams, but I've been processing some of that a little bit. Have not figured out at all what I can do to put a stop to it, make a change. Um, I might tell a little story about. Yeah, maybe I'll tell you a little story. I do have some thoughts on it. Pondfish, hello, welcome in. Yeah. Runic says if time permits tomorrow, I'm going to take a canvas painting class. I'm hoping the instructor will let me film a time lapse of the process. That would be very interesting. Maya's been working on a big canvas that Maya is also. I don't know if we're a bad influence on each other or if I'm a bad influence on her, but Maya has also been. You've been slacking on the live streams. I gotta say it. Yeah, so quick story. My grandfather, my great grandfather before him were farmers. They come from an agricultural family, and with the time I was a kid, the family farm was a century farm. And every year when the cherry crop would mature, every family member, every neighbor who didn't also have a farm, we would all be recruited and we would be picking cherries as fast as we possibly could. And I'll tell you that when the migrant harvest crew arrived, we relied on them. Without them, we couldn't have harvested the crop. And this was back in the 1960s. So I have gratitude for what they showed up and helped us accomplish, what they accomplished for us, basically. And boy, I can see, because I know what it's like to be in a community and there's just not enough hands. And I'll tell you, our lily white hands could not harvest cherries with the speed and efficiency that the people on the migrant crews could do. And I wonder this year how many farmers are going to have crops rotting on the trees in the orchards, rotting in the fields, because we don't have the people who can harvest. There's not enough of us, and not enough of us who know how to work hard enough to get the job done in the time before. Anyway, that's probably all you guys want to. It's probably more than you guys want to hear. But yeah, so is it solstice already, Runic? Painting sunflowers, I believe. Runic says good way to spend solstice. I think I noticed tonight at 10 or so. Oh my goodness. Well, no wonder I feel like refreshed and a bunch of like. I love solstice. I love equinox. I think I generally feel like shifts in my creative energy at those times of year. Yeah, Pondfish, what have you been up to? Have you been painting? What's going on? Good to see you. Yeah. All right, let's get back to making art. I just not really haven't figured out what to do with that inchoate energy of, the feelings of dread and worry about what's going on. And somehow it feels like there's a lot of issues that are happening that are they're inviting me to evaluate my priorities about where I spend my energy, and might have to take a break from some of the projects and some of the issues that have been important to me over the last, probably pretty hardcore last 3 years. And if there's one thing I know, I've been watching. I've been on Cult Watch since the 1970s, so what I know is cults are not going anywhere. High demand religions are not going anywhere. And that fight can, they can just kind of go in the crock pot of my assorted projects cupboard and wait, because it'll still be there. Pondfish painted his, right? Pug, a couple of days ago. First painting in a few weeks. Good for you. Good for you. How'd that feel? Sometimes, yeah, just been stumped or stuck on a project or a media, and then you can I don't know if it's procrastination or there's something kind of hanging us up while our brain is working out some technical problem in a project, and it just, you can pick up a paintbrush, you can get the paint out, but then you just can't quite get the painting made, and then just kind of keep gently coming at it from different directions, and sometimes you can work through, work around, work it out. Oh my gosh, did you guys see my community post about the embroidery squares? Yeah, mine either. Pondfish doesn't, his brain doesn't cooperate sometimes. I feel you there. Yeah, yeah. Oh, good. Pondfish is feeling a lot better lately. I'm wonderful. I'm so glad to hear that. Yeah, so threw up a community post. You can look at it after live. Don't leave now. Hang out. let's let's hang it out. It's probably bad practice to say go look at something else on the internet, but I put up some pictures of this project that um, actually back on the farm. My grandmother started teaching me how to thread a needle and sew a few stitches. And as a child, like probably 5, 6, 7, I was able to do embroidery, which is basically just sewing embroidery floss through a piece of fabric that's held in a hoop and follow the lines that are printed on the fabric. And so I would be out at the farm. My grandmother babysat me quite a lot when I was a kid, and I spent a lot of time on the farm. But she would keep me busy with this. She'd give this project to me one square at a time. These little kind of maybe 9-inch squares with zoo animals printed on them. And I I think when I was very little, she certainly didn't like hand me 12 and say, "Well, take precious care of these." But over the probably 6 or so years of my childhood, and then when I was a young teenager, she gave me the whole stack and said, "You take this home and keep working on it." But I made the first ones, embroidered those just one at a time, as it was probably, it's Oregon. There's probably a rainy day, and she couldn't send me out to play, or more than likely there was some activity going on the farm that you really don't want the little kids underfoot when you're spraying chemicals and stuff like that. So this project started back in the 60s, And for whatever reason, I managed over all of the moves and all of the phases of my life to get to where I am today, and haven't hadn't lost one of them. I also hadn't completed the set. So when I unpacked a box and found them, and it was just this unfinished object that every time I looked at it over the years, I just had this feeling of sort of a negative feeling. I don't know if it's exactly dread, but or shame, or but it was just kind of an unpleasant feeling. And yeah, the 60 years in progress project. And I thought, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna finish these embroideries. There were 2.5 of them that needed done. That was all. And what did it take, Maya? Like a little bit, about a week, 6, 7, maybe 6 days. It seemed to take a day and a half per square, and then I went back on the ones that I did, when I was 6. Those were not very skillfully done. There were like stitches that were 1.25 inches long, which if you're going to use them, and my intention is to use them to put them into a quilt, and you leave a stitch that long, either a cat or a small child, or probably me, would catch it on something and then pull it and ruin the embroidery. So I did have to go down and tack down those long stitches. But I went through and I reworked all of the little spots that just needed a little more attention, and I finished the zebra and the camel and I think there was a lion that needed outlined, and a hippopotamus that was half done. And I am very pleased to announce that I completed the embroideries. And then I pressed them all and sorted out some fabric to go with them to turn them into quilt squares, and was trying to reset the studio to get the room to set up the sewing machines so that I could begin assembling the quilt top. So that section of the project is finished, and it only took me 50 plus years. Yeah, don't blame the cat. Maya says, no, it's true. It's me. Yeah, they're very, I mean, if I went into a store today, I would never pick those out. But they're very sentimental to me because I know how many hours I spent with my grandmother as she just taught me how to pull the floss apart and how to thread a needle. And I still, to this day, enjoy doing handwork and adding handwork to my projects. And it comes from skills that somebody in the older generation wanted to stop and take the time and share with me how to do something in life. So we can learn a lot from our elders. And I see the world today, and I see young people who just don't have any respect. The disrespectful way that they speak to elders is shocking to me. And, the difference between, say, even a 40-year-old and a 60-year-old, like, that's a half again. It's half your life experience that I've got. And I know especially when I was 40, I felt very much in my adulthood and was like, I don't need your information. But like as a 20-year-old, I really could have benefited more from listening to old people stories. Because that perspective you get after watching the same shit unfold decade after decade, you can be a sensitive and willing and intelligent person when you're young, but you can't have the perspective that living through it, living a life will give you. And it's kind of, I will say, I thought being an older person was going to suck, but in some ways it's pretty much okay. It's pretty good. Maya says some of the things that she has are plain out ugly, but are the most precious, right? Yeah, I wonder sometimes about the 12-year-olds who are, spending so much time with the phone. Like, they'll never be 60 years old and look down and go, boy, this is the thing I had. This is the thing that I learned so much. I don't know, maybe they will, but I kind of doubt it. Yeah, so if you're watching this on Replay Crew and you've got, like, tell me what your oldest unfinished project is. And yeah, maybe if you get it out and breathe a little energy into it, maybe it might become a completed project. I, on the other side of it, when it was still sitting there unfinished, I was looking at it and I talked with Maya about this a little bit. I wonder, what am I going to feel like? Because it's been popping out of boxes and drawers over the years. The project has, and every time I see it, I go, yeah, that thing needs finished. And would I have a great shift in attitude about it? Would there be some great lifting of a weight, or would I feel, a lot of joy, or, what was it going to be like? And it's been very subtle. I was really actually kind of anticipating it might be a bigger feeling, but it's actually been a sort of a quiet satisfaction. And the squares, the embroidered squares and the fabrics are sitting, uh, kind of walk past them each day and I look at them, and instead of that thing of, oh, there's another thing that's kind of I started into and I didn't finish, um, I have this kind of quiet sense of satisfaction about it, and I'm quite enjoying it. So I would have to say, this one keeps calling to me. I think I'm gonna do. I think I'm gonna turn that one into a finished project today. You guys want to take a closer look at these? Some yummy yellow greens there going. Yeah, and I don't hate it. I don't hate that quiet satisfaction. And I'm also feeling inspired about the next phase of turning those squares into quilt blocks and then hopefully into a quilt top and then into a finished quilt. And there's not a, I'm kind of the, I have one niece, but there's really, she's 19, so the baby, there's sort of child themed. So it's not like there's anybody in my family to be creating a baby or a child's quilt for, but I'm still gonna make it. Maybe just make it for the um, so-called inner child, just for the joy of seeing it. All of the skills that I've learned over my life, all of the uh, quilting techniques, kind of get put into use to design that quilt block and to pull that stash of fabrics that I have collected over. I've probably been collecting vintage gingham fabric. That's what I'm using to surround the embroidered blocks. So the same fabric, which gingham is a check, uh, and every time I saw a bit of it in a different color, I would pick it up. So I've got just a whole rainbow of colors, and it comes in various sizes from, I think the smallest is maybe in, I might have some that's an eighth of an inch check, up to some that's, the check is about 1 inch. So overall, it'll have the same fabric, but it'll be all these different sizes and colors. So, Good eye, Pondfish. It is exactly. It is actually. It might be regular ultramarine, but it is a very dark blue. But yeah, ultramarine. Possibly French ultramarine. Let's get some pen on it and mess it up. Ooh, there's a good one right there. So in the Renaissance, someone who had a lifetime's experience in any kind of art would create their work, and those works would be called masterpieces because you had mastered your art or mastered your craft. And I have a bit of a drive at this point to create some works that use all of the skills that I have. So I would argue that I think a quilt could be a masterwork. And I'm really going to enjoy having that quilt with the pieces that come from the very first needlework I did as a child to today, where I've spent years working and perfecting as much as I'm capable of the skills that go into creating a quilt. And I do have a cedar chest that I will leave to my niece, and I hope that one day that she will take it out and have some sense of her great grandmother, her grandmother, her aunt, all those generations of women and the needlework that we've done, and that it comes together. And I hope that she will have a family, and she maybe will be able to wrap her child in that quilt. And she's only 19, so we can, you know, give her some time to finish college and be a 20-something youngster for a while before that happens. Hmm. Just the pen is not wide enough. It's really not showing up on those. I'm gonna cheat and bring in a. We're discussing the difference between French ultramarine and regular ultramarine. I think regular ultramarine, to my eye, reads more just true blue. French ultramarine is a little bit more atmospheric. It's less dense on the paper. It has a translucency, and it also shades just slightly lavender, just slightly to violet. I really like French ultramarine. The difference is just subtly more delicate. But of course, that can vary from brand to brand. But I think I've got French ultramarine in the Winsor and Newton artist grade. And I find that to be a pretty delicious color. I think I've got it in another brand too, but yeah. What's the Italian brand that's that does great washes? I want to say Memory. Their French ultramarine is just I covet that. I would love a tube of that. And I've looked at the website. Uh, I've looked at that on it's either Jerry's Artorama or Blick Art Supplies, and just thought, oh, I really want to order that. And that, but I know for me, like if it's the first tube in a new brand, it's a slippery slope, and then I'll be going, well, I need the set of 12 because they, yeah, they flow all in the same way and they'll work well together. And then next thing you know, I'm, $400 in the hole buying paint again. Nothing wrong with that, but uh, let me just say for myself, I know if I'm busy buying art supplies, I'm not using art supplies, and I've had a lot of decades in my life of buying art supplies. I'm trying to take myself in hand and use the art supplies, so I may or may not be on paint probation. I am. Don't tell. I'm on. I'm on. I think I said a couple months ago I was on paint probation until June, so I might actually be okay to. No, I'm still on probation. Runic, right? So it's just it's well, they're so beautiful. They really can't blame us. Yeah, Memory Blue. Okay. Oh, you're my people. Maya was busy thinking about ultramarine and missed the cover. Oh, I love you guys. Yeah. So Maya says she's got both, and she probably has a. If I know Maya's palette, I expect there's probably several versions of both. But yeah, there's something that's just a little more translucency and luminance. It's just a little bit of a different quality to French ultramarine compared to ultramarine blue. And don't even bother with something. If you find something in its ultramarine hue, don't even take it home. Just get the ultramarine. This one's really. I've slowed down to kind of take my time with it because I'm really enjoying the interesting rocks that are appearing. Oh yeah, and then you've got to complicate it, Maya. Maya says she even has ultramarine light. I have an ultramarine pale that is a Japanese Gansai Tambi, which is a paint that you can use with a little bit of water and it works like a gouache, and you can water it down a little bit more and it keeps its intensity, but it works in a watercolor way too. But um, Kuretake Kuretake is the brand I have of that, and they make an ultramarine pale that just looks like um, it kind of looks like a wash of ultramarine. It's got a lot of PW6 in it, so which is the pigment for I believe titanium white. It's one of the white pigments. I'm pretty sure it's yeah, it's an opaque, fairly opaque white. So Runic is got a comment here. Monument Hobbies out of Arizona. The guy that runs the place has been model painting for 45 years and develops all their colors himself, and they make them in house. Oh. Maya, I don't know if they're vegan. Uh, Maya's saying the Memory Blue is the vegan brand. I know they're made in Italy, so immediately gonna find that wonderful. I know that the line is designed to have very, very good flow properties. So if you're doing washes where you want the paint to flow smoothly, apparently that's that brand is a good choice. And generally, Oxgall, isn't Oxgall the, oh, we're to the technical portion of the program. Boy, I've really, we're running the numbers today. Um, so we often talk about the technical aspects of art supplies at some point during the live stream, so I guess we're there, and that's happy. Um, Oxgall, of course, is not a, it's a product derived from the gallbladders of cattle. So therefore, that paint's not vegan. And yes, paint can or cannot be, might be considered vegan if it doesn't include ingredients that are derived from animals. And paint flow is enhanced with Oxgall. So, yeah, if somebody wants to pop out and right, yeah, okay, so maybe they're using something else to as a flow enhancer. I'm gonna toss to Maya because I know she is often researching different art supplies. So, and as I said, I've been on probation, so I have been avoiding the art supply catalogs, so I would not be tempted. Oh, I need the 12-step program. Okay. We have a report back. Google says mostly vegan. Runic says I use Oxgall for building surface tension in water to grow crystals for painting effects. Oh, tell us more. Yeah, as you were working on antiquing a figure, I was watching you paint on replay one of your streams from the last couple of weeks, Runic. I noticed like you were coming in with a tiny brush and painting shadows, and um, I my mom had a ceramics shop. She did cold pour ceramics, had a kiln and a shop in the backyard, and we that was the airbrushing I did was on ceramics greenware doing underglaze. And she did a lot of figurines and stuff like that. And one of the ways that we would get shadows on them is after we had painted in the details, we'd usually use like a matte acrylic spray because these figurines that are completely fired, then, there's a craft thing that was happening in the 80s and 90s uh, where you would just paint the figures with acrylic craft paint. So you'd basically do your colors. Like, say you're doing a duck, you'd paint the yellow, you'd paint the eyes, you'd paint the beak, you'd paint the details of the nostril and maybe the little details of the eyes. Then give it a spray coat of matte acrylic, basically as a sealer. Let that dry down and then prepare an antiquing glaze. And you would just cover the whole figure with that, and while it was still wet, take a rag and wipe it off. And then that antiquing glaze, and maybe something like a Van Dyke brown or usually not black, it's too harsh, but sometimes everywhere from a light gray to a warmer, cool brown in various depths. And then we would wipe that back, and it would just leave a trace of the antiquing sort of in the recesses, and it did a really efficient job of putting shadows in figures. And I just wondered if you ever considered a technique like that for the figurines, or if that would just be too. It's kind of like as you're doing it, you kind of have to commit to it, and it is they'll just make the pit of your stomach drop out as you've got the whole thing covered in it. But then when you take the rag and wipe it back, and you can keep wiping it back until you've got almost all of the antiquing off of it. But it really can do some just wonderful effects. Okay, so you use the technique on leather tooling, right? Okay. Yeah, all the stuff you seem to learn over the years kind of adds up into this bank of skills that you can draw on, and it cross pollinates from art to craft to, I mean, what you learn doing ceramics, you might use in jewelry making. So I think any kind of a hobby, you're going to learn something. You're going to learn some skill. And I know my channel is Janelle Art, but I think actually probably a lot more of what I do could be classed as craft, and I don't disparage one or the other. Yeah. Runic says for acrylic painting, I do a wash that amounts to about the same. Yeah. Coloring with Tailor Made. Welcome in. Hello. I think you're new to us, and I am quite glad to see a new face. So, hello. And thank you. Oh, Pondfish, you're gonna enjoy it. Uh, Runic does these skate decks that are airbrushed with it's just that's just wild. I see those designs that you do and I'm just like I just want the whole car like pinstriped and detailed with Runic painting. I think it would just be so incredible. Um, yeah, if you drop a comment in any of the lives or any of the posts, for folks that are new to YouTube, you can click on somebody's name and it'll take you to their channel, and then if you see somebody who's interesting or they're talking about interesting things, and you can go check out their channel and maybe subscribe. So, uh, especially when we get towards the end of the live stream, I always encourage you guys hang on just a moment on my channel, because I will at the end of the live stream I just go right to uh, the settings, and the live streams will automatically set into private. So I reset those into public, and they will go right on my channel. And once they do that, then the comments will come. Right now we've got live comments, but once the live stream ends, then you can start putting a comment there. And if you've been in my live stream, and I can remember to do it, I will drop back in and I'll turn your comment into a link to your channel, so that, yeah, if you've been in the chat or if you're on replay and you see something that's interesting, that's how we make the art world a little more interconnected here. So I'll be I think I'm behind on some of that too. Just remind myself, go and do that, because I know I've got a stack of comments from folks that have been leaving me comments in the last 12 weeks, and yeah, it's the least I can do. If you're going to leave me a comment, is link it up so that folks can find you. Sure, we're always looking to spread the art with to new subscribers. So, oh, Runic, are you still working on Dan's sign? Yeah, Runic's got a pretty regular live stream. I don't know if it's exactly a schedule, but it seems like you're up at least a couple times a week with a project, so pretty reliable uh, streamer. Doesn't take a 3-month break like somebody may have. Oh, good, good. Alrighty, well, I've got a little bit more to do on this. We are at an hour, so when I finish this one, I think I will be wrapping up the live stream. And I want to thank everybody for popping in and saying hello. Um, you you all have been on my mind as I've been taking this break, and I'm really grateful for the company and the live chat today, and grateful for the conversation with artists and the inspiration that comes from, gosh, even just like just a moment to think about the, French ultramarine. It's such a beautiful color. It's a lovely thought. All of that just feeds our creativity, and it's just something I really appreciate. So thanks, Frotty. That will never not make me laugh, Maya. Maya's requesting that you give me the finger. Anyway, whichever one, whichever one makes you happy. And if you're hanging out there, kind of watching, subscribers, I've lost quite a few while I took this break. So, if there's anybody out there and you think you might get a little bit out of this channel, or even if you just don't mind uh, yeah, subscribe, turn those notifications off, and just let it ride. I sure appreciate that. And uh, I've rolled over on my watch hours, so I'm at this point, like the ones that we got last June are just they're falling off the back end of the thing. So I was pretty close to my monetization phase, but I'm hanging below 400. I need to get to 500 subscribers, so I'm I'm really appreciative of any subscribers I can get these days. And I know the watch hours, if we do the live streams, I don't worry about the watch hours. Those do accumulate. So uh, I, I'm not one to pester you to please go back and watch old live streams, because I think they're more fun if you join us for the current live streams and you can hang out in the chat and that's where the quality is on this channel. You see the production values are not super high, but the main thing is the connection. I think that's what I'm most proud of that we do here together on this channel. So, yeah, the chat is all the fun. So let's just take a look here. I'm going to just take a quick look and make sure I haven't missed any of your wonderful comments. And yeah, right back at you. Yeah, I'm not kidding. We were talking about people we hadn't seen in a while, and you were one of the people. And I think it's probably I have withdrawn from some of those circles, some of those other chats that were just, um, you know, I don't use it anymore. So places where we would have interacted. So I really appreciate you coming in and saying hi and spending time with us. We got Runic, guys. Yeah, check out Runic. Runic's going live later today. Working on a piece for Elegant Woodcraft. Yeah, Runic says, oh, we were talking about figurines, and I've watched you a few of those, and the way you use color theory and the way you build up those layers and get those effects, I think is fascinating. So Runic's talking about doing a base coat in a purple or a dark brown, and then a wash of flesh tone, and then starting the highlighting, and that helps achieve a more organic feel to the figurine. Yeah. We were talking about ox gall and some other ingredients, and pondfish is it does it I agree, sounds like it belongs in a witch's cauldron. It's real chemistry, paint and whatnot. I think that catches us up. So, let's just do a little bit of a art show and we'll wrap it up, and I will invite you all to go about your, either get some rest depending on what your time zone is, get some rest, or get some art, get your art today. I shared a project that I was working on while I've been offline for this, taking this break, and I've laminated some of the 6-inch paintings, cut them down into strips and laminated them into bookmarks. How fun are these? So then I started looking for tassels, which I never did find. I know somewhere I've got a stash of black tassels that would just, doesn't that drive you crazy when you can't find something? You know you've got it in the studio somewhere. So as soon as I make tassels and put something else on them, you know those tassels will show up. But laminated bookmarks with watercolor painting, so paint's not gonna run, and I'm was kind of pleased about that. It's kind of an unorthodox thing to do with paintings. Yeah, now we just need to order some art books. Right, Maya? And we cranked out 4 pebble paintings today. Started with this bad boy. It's a little bit, not sure it's going to show up on camera. I'll try to take a picture and see, but I used some of the graphite Gansai Tambi, and there's, what is that, PB11? That is, graphite is the pigment, and that's the same thing you have that you use in a pencil, you know, pencil graphite. And once it dries down, you can burnish it and it gets a sheen to it. So it's kind of a subtle quality that it just kind of reads as a taupey gray here, but it's pretty cool. Forget which order we did here, but that one, this one's going to need some shadows and highlights in it. It looks pretty flat. This also will benefit from some highlights and shadow. And probably my favorite one of the day, we're rocking our French ultramarine and a little bit of it's doing that, yeah. 404 file not found on the colors of the others, but yeah, that was my favorite. So thank y'all for spending time, and like I said, go make some art, and we'll see you on the next live stream. Everybody say thanks to Maya. As always, I really appreciate you spending time and keeping us on the straight and narrow.